Hi everyone, this is Rahul and Abdul is also here on the call with us, on the session with us. This session is precisely for all the new hire of sales. Let me define what does it mean. It means for all those salespeople who are new to cloud sales or have just joined the organization. This is going to be very basics. So if you know what is cloud, this may not be your session. But if you are new to cloud sales and you just want to know what exactly is the fundamental building blocks, then we're going to talk about that. And we're going to touch a little bit about the Microsoft Cloud products at the end, but otherwise it's mostly going to be generic cloud basic fundamentals. So we will basically cover those typical points in that. So this is what is new hire cloud sales training which we are conducting. This session is recorded, so it should be available for all of you to view and circulate it to your internal sales teams if they are new or want to know the basics of the cloud. So we'll get going. If you have any questions in between, feel free to ask. We have a technical person. I'm on the sales side, so we can handle any of your questions if you have. So just to give you a quick introduction, what is Ingram Micro? Ingram Micro is a global distribution company with 4 business units. The core business is IMTS, which is technology division. IMC is the Ingram Micro Cloud, which is the division which you are looking at and you're talking to. We belong to Ingram Micro Cloud. And then there are 2 more global business units. Ingram Micro has a lot of strategic initiatives on cloud business unit in terms of our vendor portfolio of about 200 plus vendors, our own cloud marketplace which is running in 20 plus countries, and many series of acquisitions which Ingram has done to build that ecosystem of cloud in the last 5 years or 7 years. Just to give you the scale of what we do the operations, we are running the Microsoft CSP and the cloud business in 45 plus countries. We're running 20 country marketplaces. These are fully automated order provisioning and billing management platform which you can leverage on. We are launching soon for the Gulf region a fully automated marketplace. We have about 4,000 plus shared services experts who help us to run the business in 45 countries. We have 150 dedicated partner technical support agents. We're managing 75,000 plus cases every month. These are level 2 cases. These are not level 1. And we have over 1,500 dedicated cloud experts in the division business unit, and we have a direct presence in the region also. We have a very extensive cloud enablement program, and you are looking at one of the programs right now, which is the new hire training. So to move on, our global go-to-market strategy is to position the whole cloud into 5 categories, which is infrastructure, security, communication, collaboration, and business application with services. So all the vendors which we hire, which we add, or all the solutions which we have will fall into one of these categories, and that's also a recommended way to go to market for yourself also. So do not sell it as a product, but sell it as a solutions to your customers. So now getting into the new hire, so just to set the ground and the expectations and where we are standing. So back in 2009 was the days when the cloud was just known as a buzzword, and a lot of questions around what is cloud was there. And then the time kept moving on, and I've seen the transition because I've got into the cloud business since 2009, and really I could say that this is what has happened in the last few years, which is what can we do to the cloud in 2010, 12, and then what should we do? What should we use cloud? How do we do the cloud best? And of course, we are in cloud. So I always have been saying that 2016 is the year of cloud, where there will be a significant pull from the market rather than just a push to the market, right? So it's a moment where really the cloud is going to excel over a period of time, but this is the year where all those companies who have been investing and putting efforts to build a cloud business will really start getting payoffs of their efforts. So, as I said, this is a fundamental session. So we are basically talking about the three fundamental building blocks of cloud as a concept. These are three fundamentals which you might have heard a lot, but if you have not, then this is the three building blocks which cloud really is going around, which is SAS, Pass, and IaaS, where SAS stands for Software as a Service, PaaS is Platform as a Service, and IaaS is Infrastructure as a Service. So if you see, in the last 6-7 years, everything is taking a dynamic shift towards something called services economy, which means everything is moving towards a services business model where customers are really trying to value the services. They don't want to talk to people who are just selling products. They want to talk to people who are really service oriented. They want to talk to partners who really care about their service and their customers and the quality of the service, whereas the amount of customer retention with those companies who are just selling it as a products and boxes, the customer retention is very, very low, and it's going down on a rapid pace. So the industry is changing. The point is, industry is changing. So it is very vital and important to understand the services economy. So in that, from a cloud perspective, software as a service is the most dominant visible component, which is the output of the whole thing. I've mentioned some points on the right side, which is target. Who is the target for SAS? SAS target is generally business users. It's not anybody else, but it's business users. So in terms of what is the expectation, or how does the business user see cloud, or how they should be seeing is what I'm going to talk about. So as a business user, he says, I need an application, but I don't want to maintain anything beyond that. So I just want to use the application, and I don't want to take care of anything else. So that's the business way to position it. So when you talk to the business user, you need to talk around these, that, hey, when you go on the cloud, on the SaaS model, you really actually use the application, and you do not worry about where the application is running, who is maintaining it, who is updating it, who is taking care of security, and so on. So it's really simple words that is focusing on the usage. The platform as a service is generally targeted. It should be targeted to developers. So if you think that you want to build this practice in the region for PaaS, which is platform as a service, generally the audience you want to talk to is developers, not anybody else. The reason is it's a developer-centric solution and the platform. So from a developer standpoint of view, he says, hey, I need to deploy and develop an application, but I don't want to manage infrastructure. And it's very true. Developers don't know how to manage servers. Developers don't know how to maintain storage and run backups and this thing. All they need is, they will say, hey, get me a server with that environment and I'll deploy the application, and that's it. I don't know anything beyond that. And this is precisely what PaaS is about. So PaaS will really focus on that. It means when you go and talk to developers and they say, hey, you know what, develop the application and deploy, that's it. You don't need to maintain and manage infrastructure below that. It's completely managed by the service provider. When it comes to infrastructure service, it's typically the IT guys, IT folks you want to talk to, the guys who say, hey, I need a virtual infrastructure, but I don't want to manage any physical hardware, data center, or a DR of that particular infrastructure. I just want to manage my servers and virtual machines, that's it. The remaining, I really don't want to take any headache, and that's the positioning statement for all three levels. So that's the pure play, which is SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS from a sales positioning point of view. Abdul, you want to add something on infrastructure as a service?
Yeah, basically, all these three layers, they are interconnected to each other. On the ground level comes the IaaS, infrastructure as a service, and when you put the development tools on it, it becomes the platform as a service. And when you have developed a service or a software and an application, and you give the service or software to the end user, like an email solution or a storage solution, anything, a communication solution, it becomes software as a service.
Right, absolutely right. So in fact, the next slide really talks about that. So it's exactly the stack which we are talking. So for a moment, forget about cloud. If you were to build an application for a customer, this is the components which you will need, or I call it a stack, right? So you need the data center, you need the networking. On top of that, you need servers and storage. You need to install an OS. You need to have a runtime, and then application on top of it. And that's what precisely, it's fundamentally what is happening in the industry, right? So these are the components. But which piece has been taken out by which layer of cloud is what this slide talks about. So if you see the infrastructure as service, what really means is that the server, storage, data center, networking is completely managed by the provider, and everything above that is the responsibility of a customer. Whereas it means is the customer is responsible to managing the operating system, the runtime, and the application, and the usage of the application, right? When it comes to PaaS, the entire stack below the application is managed by the provider. So even runtime is maintained by them. All the developer has to do is deploy the application, and everything is taken care by the provider here. Whereas in the software as a service, the application itself is also managed by the provider, whereas the usage of the application is just the customer's responsibility here. So this really, in a very simple way, it maps each block of the component of the stack versus what exactly is IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS from a positioning standpoint of view. So if somebody is going to ask you and get into a debate, hey, I do not have control on server, storage, and this thing, then the answer is simple. You need a physical data center, or you may want to talk about building your own private cloud. But then if you're talking about public cloud, you just don't have control on the physical storage, servers, and those things. However, some of the vendors are very unique to offer. Like, for example, the IBM's software is the classic example where they go and give you the control of the physical server on the cloud also. So they have something called bare metal cloud server, which basically allows you to really get into the server's console below the OS layer also from the cloud or from a remote standpoint of view. So there are very few exceptions, but generally that's the fundamental which is true for infrastructure service and above. So feel free to ask any questions if you have any specific, but then these are very basics. So very simplified positioning of what is what. So as an example, software as service, you will find that all the popular applications like Office 365, Google for Work, Dynamics CRM, Salesforce, these are all categories of SaaS. These are ready-made applications, ready to use, everything managed and maintained by the vendor, and you just consume it and you price it. The platform as a service, there are three big players, global players, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Infrastructure as a service is again Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. Technically, you will see there are two companies who really strive through the whole three stack players, which is Microsoft and Google. They have the whole suite. Microsoft goes beyond just communication collaboration on cloud, but then they have the whole ERP, CRM, everything is there on the cloud for their stack. And they're growing very fast. So that's the key differentiator. And just to share with you, Microsoft is the only channel-focused company which basically embraces channel partner model, whereas Google also does that, but then Google really doesn't have a lot of strong channel model for cloud platform, for instance. Amazon Web Services, yes, they have a channel focus, but then it's not as strong as Microsoft. So this is the differentiation and why you should choose and work with Microsoft. So we are now getting into the nuts and bolts of each layer, just to give you the insights, a little bit difference of what it means to you from a sales and business point of view. So software as a service, which is the SaaS model, the licensing model generally is users or seats. Now there is a difference between users and seats. Abdul, you don't know about users and seats. So
I know about users.
Generally, it is referred as same, but then the key difference is, I'll give you examples. So if you have a customer who is, which is 25 employees, for example, so that is 25 users. Technically, it is 25 seats also. But then you sold them one product, Office 365, and then now you went and sold Acronis Backup, for example, on top of it, which was just we discussed in the previous session. So that becomes 2 seats per user, right? So it's the same user. The count will still be the same. So when you say, hey, my business has 400 customers, 27,000 or 20,000 users, but then technically your seat count can be 50,000. Why? You have sold more than one product to them. And that's the difference between seats. Seat is per application. User is just a user who can use more than one application. Okay. So SaaS business model generally is measured or is positioned or licensed in either users or seats. The pricing is generally few dollars per user per month or per year. Most of the industry leading applications are moving towards monthly model, and that is what is important to understand. It's a very, very disruptive model. It is not something which people are used to. Yearly models are still favorable for a lot of resellers, but then when it comes to monthly, it really, really disturbs their business model, because to run a monthly business model, it is not easy. You need to make a hell lot of changes in your business model, and that is what we have been talking about that in our Cloud University for business sessions. Okay, so you may want to check out with us if you need more insights on that. Who is the target for SaaS business application? Now, from a sales point of view, whom should you go and spend your time talking about SaaS model? Not IT. Definitely not IT. Okay, it has to be business users. It has to be the CEOs, the sales managers, the finance managers, the GMs, the directors of the people of the company, because they understand application. They don't understand IT. They don't understand, and they probably don't even care about it. What they really care about is the business application. They want benefits like anytime, anywhere access, which is what SaaS really gives them or cloud gives them. But IT has no clue what is the benefits of the SaaS model and why would they want to go. So IT will always think hey, why shouldn't I deploy it locally? Why should I go for cloud, right? So your target users for selling that should always be business. Go to business if you want to sell SaaS solution. Now, when I say SaaS solution, Office is one of the examples. Dynamic CRM is one of the examples. Anything which is something to do with software as a service, you may want to only talk to business, not IT. And I'm not saying that you cannot talk to IT. The point is, if you talk to IT, you will get less margins, you will be negotiated a lot, you won't be able to sell services. If you talk to business, you will end up selling more services to them, you will be able to convince them, and you will be able to charge them the right amount of price because they understand the value, not just the price. Access type, generally it is a browser or a client connected to cloud, right? These clients could be like Outlook connected to the cloud directly. There is no intermediate server in the between. It is straight connected to the cloud. What is the billing units? So the billing units is again users or seats, the number of licenses they buy or the users they buy or the seats they buy. Billing cycles are monthly or yearly. Anything below that is not the billing cycles as a standard. What revenue streams you need to track when you build the pipeline, when you generate lead, when you do the opportunities. you need to talk the language of SAS, which is new, renewal, and additional licenses, right? So you may not have been used to these terms, and then you want to check with these terms. Yeah, nobody is able to hear me anything. Can you please confirm if everybody is able to hear? Now we can. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So you want to keep these revenue streams clarity within your team that this new renewal and additional licenses. Partners opportunity is not just the license margin. Partners opportunity is services. Now you need to figure out what services is your customer base interested in, how much you want to charge, what you really want to do, and how much you want to really go and add services to it. Generally, the services for SAS is implementation, migration, training, change management, and support. So these are the services which typically is positioned and are successfully sold. The next two will be similar and easy. So Pass is the licensing model is consumption. It is not users or seats. It's generally consumption. Pricing is generally pay as you consume, which means if you use the services, CPU cycles and API calls, then it will charge you based on that. Target users are here developers, development team, so you want to talk to the lead developer, project manager, the business owner, or the project sponsor who is sponsoring the whole thing. The access types are generally developer access tools. Again, billing units are consumptions by hours or units. So if it is CPU cycles, it will be number of hours the CPU has run there. If it is network traffic, then it will be by GB per something. So that's the billing units. Billing cycles in Pass generally are hourly, daily, or monthly. So you can go with any of these plans and models. Revenue streams here generally is only one stream, which is called recurring monthly business. So you will have one single revenue which keeps fluctuating based on the usage. And there is no renewal, there is no new, there is no additional license. So everything is a monthly recurring revenue. Partners opportunity is a lot of consultation. So if you want to sell Pass, then you want to really position consultation as a priced service. And then you can get into some more managed services if you want to. Or development services is the best thing to do. So you may want to position this to an end customer who do not have developers, but then explain the benefit of Pass and provide the development services to them. So that's a pretty good way to sell Pass. Infrastructure as a service is almost similar for almost everything, except the fact that the target users is IT team here. Rest everything remains the same. The model is clear. Access type is browser or RDP because you're generally accessing virtual machines. And then you have billing units, which is again consumption, and then billing cycles are hourly, daily, or monthly. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, please. So as you want to get into the pitch, you always want to talk about the comfort zone, right? So you want to refer to your customers, always saying that, hey, don't freak out because this is cloud and this is this and that. Just say, always relate to them, saying that you have been using LinkedIn, you have been using Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Dropbox. These are all very, very robust cloud services on a public side, on a consumer side, on a personal side. And we are talking about a very similar infrastructure for business. So if they are comfortable, once you make them comfortable on the personal side, generally it's pretty easy for them to relate to business also. So this is one of the easy way to get convinced that, hey, you're putting your most sensitive personal photos and your personal details, banking details into your public free Gmail and Outlook and Yahoo and all those services. Whereas, why do you want to get worried about a SLA-defined, secured, cloud-based platform from providers like Microsoft or Google or Amazon, for instance? Okay. So why cloud? So one of the slides which I really like to spend some time is why cloud, right? Do not sell cloud as a product or a this thing. Sell cloud as a benefit to the customer. And what is that benefit? This is what it really boils down. So you can apply this to any, whether it is SAS, Pass or IS, but the generally the benefits will remain the same. And if you are able to sell the benefits of cloud first before you even talk about product, your selling will become much easier, right? So you need to really go back rather than going and selling them, hey, Office 365 has 50 GB and it comes with Office licenses. You really want to talk to them about the cloud benefits first and then go and map that benefits with the features which is there by each product. So the first benefit which I always start is about OpEx model, right? So cloud really is a subscription model. It is monthly, which means it is monthly and yearly, which really means that it is an operational expenses. It is not a capex. Customer doesn't have to invest bulk of the money at the same time as they do it for on-premise. So cloud really is a true capex model. And I was listening to a very interesting story by one of my counterparts in US and other places there. If they position cloud to the finance person takes it much faster because he gets tax benefits by putting it as an expense rather than putting it as a capital expenditure. So very interesting way to position cloud, right? So if you and your business wants to really avoid taxes and show more, or your customer wants to show more expenses, whereas he's spending almost equally the same amount, but then if he wants to show more expenses and less of assets as a capex investment, then cloud is the easiest thing. Everything is expenses, right? So it's an operating expenses which is very recurring and this thing. So it's up to you how do you want to position. So, but it's an interesting story. So next is mobility. Mobility is not equal to getting emails on mobile. Mobility is really about the definition that you can access the whole information and data from any device, any time, anywhere. So that's the whole point, which means you can access your data, your information from any device and anywhere in the world. And that's really is about mobility. How can you be mobile and then still be able to continue to do the work? Because people can access their data anywhere, anytime, through any device, the productivity is naturally something which goes up. So productivity is the direct impact and output of the benefits which goes into the cloud. Collaboration, because it is on the cloud, because everybody is able to connect to the cloud through any device, anytime, anywhere, it does make a huge difference when it comes to the way people collaborate with each other. So it becomes very easy when it comes to cloud for sharing files, working together on the same document or on the same application which supports collaboration, real-time collaboration. Continuity is another big thing. In all these slides previously, I was stressing that the underlying infrastructure is generally managed by the vendor here. And if you are in the process of choosing the right cloud vendor, if you do your due diligence properly and go with the right vendor, you can be rest assured that the business continuity, which is the disaster recovery of those services, are completely managed by the vendor, and you do not have to worry about it. It doesn't matter whether you are a 5-employee company or you are a 50,000 employee company, the SLA remains the same. So these vendors will treat you almost the same way, the way they treat a large customer or a small customer. And then finally, the last benefit which I would really map it is agility and scalability. So agility really means that, hey, today I am 50 people company and tomorrow I can get a big contract for 250, and my need for next day is 250 employees who are just getting outsourced. you do not have to worry about your infrastructure. You can just scale it overnight, and that's agility, right? And then when the contract is finished, you can scale it down back to 50 also. So that's really is about agility and scalability. You cannot achieve that on the on-premise. So if you talk about these benefits in general to your prospects or customers, they are more likely to listen to you very seriously when you bring up a solution or a product to them before you have this discussion. So these are very important basics, fundamentals of positioning cloud to the market and their customers. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. So a very interesting slide from Gartner. I've been using it. It's 2016, but the slide is a little old, but then it is very, very true. So the slide is about proactive interest in cloud, and you will see different lines. The first line is a blue color line, which represents individuals like you and me. And we are not talking about business, we are talking about individual people who really get the cloud right from a proactive point of view. We use a lot of services for personal use, and we love that, right? So you want to go and bank with those bankers who have a mobile app, right? So you don't want to go to a banker who goes and where you have to go and do a manual thing by standing in queue. You want modern stuff, right? You choose an application today which has a mobile app connected to that application. So that is what is about individuals. Individuals love cloud very, very proactively, and that interest has been growing year over year. The next immediate type of people are business people. So business people generally are the next guys. So because if you are using a tool which you are super happy and satisfied in your personal life, you most likely are going to end up using that for your business also. And that is why business people are the next guys who really proactively look for cloud. By the way, the next department which you see is the red one, which is in the bottom of the whole chart, which means they are the last guys who have interest in cloud. So this slide really tells you whom do you want to talk to. You want to talk to business people. You don't want to talk to IT departments. Do not waste your time going to IT departments. And then the next three lines are about small, medium, and large size of business. Again, large size of businesses take time. Their interest is growing, but it is slow. The smallest segment of the business, which is small businesses, are the guys who really, really go after the cloud very fast. So you want to really focus on them because they pick up the stuff very quickly. Okay. So another thing which a new salesperson should really understand well is that why cloud business, right? So what is so important and exciting about cloud business? It's all about recurring revenue. So it's about annuity business model. So anything which you pick up in the first year, which is recurring as a new business, it will become a renewal business next year if you take care of your customers and manage the business well. The next year you add new, you continue to renew, and then that cycle keeps growing and growing and growing. Technically, you can grow very fast in the cloud business, and you will find that every customer is going to stick to you. So a business in cloud is a customer of yesterday is a customer of today and a customer of tomorrow. So remember this line, a customer of yesterday is a customer of today and tomorrow also. So you don't want to mess up with any customer. You don't want to screw up with any customer. You want to take care of every customer, every user, even if he is one employee company, they will grow. I've just seen the growth, phenomenal growth, that every year customer just grows, right? So unless there is a different problem there. And generally all the businesses grow year over year. So this is one of the most important slides which you need to understand from a cloud business point of view. So I'll not spend much time on this slide, but it is covered in the next few slides properly. So here is an interesting slide which basically can demonstrate the fact that, hey, why I should start positioning and why my business should move to cloud. Very simple reason is that if you see this IDC slide, it really tells you that today the hardware business or on-premise business is on a declining growth, which means the business is still happening, but the growth is declining very fast, right? So a point will come where it has become very, very, very low in terms of growth. We are asking all of you to say, hey, start your cloud business today. Start investing on that so that you can build your business model, and then you start growing it. A point will come in future that your cloud business will be more than your on-premise business. Now, how many years, how much time? It depends on your business model, your strategy, your investment, the region. There are many factors, but then it is definitely something which you want to look like. So when we tell the customers that is cloud avoidable? No, cloud is not avoidable. The question relies is, hey, when do you want to jump on cloud? Is it now or future? And the same thing applies to businesses like you who are channel partners. So do you want to get into cloud business? Yes or no? Answer is definitely yes. The question is when and how, right? So when do you want to get into this cloud business, and how you want to get into this cloud business is going to be defining the future and the speed of the growth which you are going to catch up on cloud, right? So a typical business of cloud services business will look like this, right? So sorry for the pause. So typically the business model looks like this, where we have three buckets of functions in the business. The first bucket is the business development piece. And that really, the white blocks which you see in that is the skills. It is not necessary that it is number of people there, okay? So you could have one person doing sales, lead generation, and consultation. It doesn't matter. But then eventually when the business grows and matures, you want to have dedicated people and functions in those white boxes. The second function, which is very, very critical, is the deployment and support. If you are able to sell, which is most of the partners are doing today, but then they really fail to understand how to build that development, deployment and support function. In that, you want to really get into the nuts and bolts of saying, hey, what are the functions which is required for me to run a cloud business? These are provisioning, implementation, migration, training, and support. Once you get started with this, the third bucket is the most critical one, which will help and lay the foundation for your growth, which is accounts and finance, right? So here we're talking about order processing, additional license management, renewal management, billing and collection, invoicing, consolidation and reporting. These are important functions, could be run by one person in the beginning, but then eventually it will become a dedicated job for each of the functions as your business grows. So this is a typical building block of a cloud services business model, okay? So why those white boxes have turned blue? These are with Ingram's involvement. Ingram can help you in all those functions through our marketplace, which will automate some or all of those functions through the automation engine. You can do it manually, but then your scale will be limited in terms of growth. But with Ingram's support, you will definitely be able to take care of a lot of functions there. Implementation is still wide because it is still something which we want you to learn. We are there to help you, but then we really want you to do it so that will basically get get you more revenues. So the way we help is through professional services of Ingram Micro, and we provide that at a discounted price to you so that you can go and sell those services until you build your own team. Some more insights about the market. Very interesting slide. All of you are in some of the countries, but it is important that how you see the whole market. This is a IEC 2016 prediction slide where it has pointed out top 10 markets of the META region, Middle East, Turkey, Africa region. And you will see that the big countries like Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, they are big $10+ billion from an IT market point of view. And followed by UAE, Iran, Nigeria, Pakistan, Qatar. We as Ingram are present in almost many countries except Iran. Then we have Nigeria, we are not there. Algeria, we are not there. Kenya, we're not there. But rest of the countries we operate with direct presence. So expect us to be your partner of choice when it comes to technology distribution or technology aggregator. This slide is pretty interesting. It tells you that how much is the potential for this year in meta region on cloud, public cloud specifically, right? Public cloud is very important. It's about $533 million for this region. About 56% of that is for software as a service, 7% as PaaS, and 37% as IaaS. Why PaaS is very low at 7%? It is purely because the lack of development companies or development skills in the region. Generally, in this region, the developments are not done local. It is typically going into countries like India, Philippines, Egypt, or European countries where the development skills are heavily available there. Whereas this region is generally that skills are less, and that is why you see PaaS consumptions are pretty low. But infrastructure as a service and SaaS is very, very big stuff. And the thing to note here is it's a 22.6% growth year over year. It's a very solid growth. Every year it's growing as compared to on-premise. This is a very fast growth. So you want to be in this business. You want to tell your management that you want to really be in this business. So how do we see the market? We want you to see the market in the following way, right? So we want you to see in the bottom line, if you see small business, enterprise, and government and education. Now, this is a very flip side of the way you see the business, right? So you see small business as a small block, enterprise as big, and government as very huge. But from a cloud perspective, it is really, really the other way around. Cloud perspective is small business are a huge potential. The more number of companies you have, the more number of users you will have, the more number of seats you will have. But the flip side is the same thing. From a cloud perspective, government doesn't get excited a lot about cloud. They want to build their own cloud. They want to build their own stuff within the country and so on. But then from a public cloud point of view, it doesn't make a sense for them. So that's the segmentation of the market. But then what solutions you should sell? You should sell horizontal solutions first, right? Horizontal solutions are the ones which can go into any segment, any vertical, irrespective of the type of industry it is, right? So communication, collaboration, emails, collaboration tools like OneDrive, Skype for Business, it is applicable for any business. It doesn't matter which business you are in, what size of business you are in. You need those tools. Security and infrastructure, again, you need those tools. Everybody needs those tools. CRM and customer experience solutions, again, it is very, very generic. It is not a vertical industry specific thing or a segment specific thing. Everybody has a need and you need to fill that. So try to sell that first. Once you are having a base with those horizontal solutions, you want to go vertical base. So if you have 10 customers in manufacturing, you want to go and search for a cloud-based manufacturing solution, then you can go and talk only to them as a focal point, right? Ease of sell, which is the ease of sell from a cloud perspective, which segment? It's very clear that you need to start from left, not right. Small business has the least amount of security and privacy concerns, so you want to start with them. They enjoy the benefits of cloud the most, which is OpEx model, mobility, agility, and they are the only segment which is growing fast year over year, which means a company of 100 people will become 115 a year if their business is doing right, but a company of 1,000 people will not become 1,500. It will always grow at 100 more, 50 more, because they're already big, right? So So that's what you want to do. You want to start from left to right. Don't start from right to left or middle, because that is where very important thing is that you want to focus on small business, and this is really the way to get started in cloud business. So what you can start with, we recommend you to get started with entry point products, which is Office 365, for instance, or Windows Azure, and then once, because these are horizontal solutions, everybody needs it, right? So everyone wants a email and a collaboration solution. So you can just start getting with that, and then you have lots of things to go and upsell and cross-sell. So just to make you aware, from a Microsoft point of view, all those products which I mentioned before in the last slide, you can sell it under 2-3 different programs. If you are a small business, you will be able to sell it under open, and then now you can sell it under CSP. It's a completely 2 different models. Here it's an annual based model, here it's a monthly business model. So both of them have a different benefits and different positioning statement and the business model itself. So you may want to go and circle back when are we conducting the CSP session. So we can be generally talk in very detail about what is CSP and so on, but this is the various options available for you to choose Microsoft solutions, cloud solutions, and you can sell through different programs. We see CSP as one of the biggest step up in the program, and this is the future of the Microsoft cloud programs, which is everything is going to be monthly, everything is going to be scalable and flexible as opposed to the previous ones. Little bit details of what plans are available so that you are aware of the things. Office 365 has a couple of plans. The new plan is E5, which is not in the slide now, but then it has business and it has enterprise. This is for up to 300 employee company or 300 user company. Here there is no limit. Here the 3 plans are business essentials, and premium. It's an equivalent plan here in enterprise, which is called Pro Plus. So business is equal to Pro Plus for enterprise, essentials is equal to E1, and premium is equal to E3. There are some more features out there which is different, but then their prices are there. So these are monthly prices with an annual commitment, but if you go for a CSP, it is going to be monthly commitment. Okay. So we are open for questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask any questions specifically. So this session was really about the basics of cloud, not product selling. We will have more sessions planned like this in future. So if you have any specific suggestions and topics to cover, feel free to drop us an email on sales@cloud, ingrammicrocloud.me, and we'll be happy to cover those topics in future. If you have any questions, feel free. All right. Okay, that is a question. How will we position? There's a question. How will we position Microsoft Dynamics CRM on cloud to any customer? I think that's a pretty easy and straightforward pitch. The CRM is actually best on cloud. Very simple reason is it is for salespeople. Salespeople are generally supposed to be on the field, which means they need to have the access to the CRM anytime, anywhere, on their mobile, on their machines, through a browser. So that's the best thing to do is to put them on cloud. Going back to the way the industry has grown, look at Salesforce. It's a 10 plus years successful model. Salesforce is used by Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, and it's a very solid example that it is very well accepted by big companies also. Dynamics CRM is going straight head on with Salesforce. It is bang on, and at some points, at some places, Dynamics CRM is much more better than Salesforce. If you are a Microsoft house, for example, if you have everything deployed as a Microsoft technology, you want to choose CRM, Dynamics CRM over Salesforce, and the positioning statement will still remain the same. If you go back to the benefits, that's what exactly it will relate. You talk about benefits of cloud in general and then map the dynamic CRM. It's just a CRM. It's another application which you should go and position with those benefits, that it is monthly, it is scalable, you pay only for what you use, and so on. I hope it answers your question. Follow-up question: customer CRM data, how is it protected on cloud? The classic example. Let's talk very straightforward examples. The question is, how is the customer CRM data protected on cloud? My first response would be the following. My first response would be, hey, you're not talking about security, you're talking about privacy here. So there is a very big difference between security and privacy. Security is about somebody hacking the data. Privacy is about, hey, somebody is looking into my data. Okay. Now, as an example, if you see, we all know that Cisco and Juniper are neck-to-neck competitors to each other, right? They are core competitors to each other. But guess what? Both of them are using Salesforce, and they are all sitting on the same cloud. And when a company like Cisco and Juniper can sit on the same cloud, your customers can seriously sit on the same cloud. Now, I was giving an example of Salesforce here. Now, what happens in Dynamic CRM? Microsoft is not a small company, by the way. Microsoft is a huge company. They have taken care of the amount of data centers Microsoft has. It's probably more than anybody else as of today, including Salesforce. Now, what needs to be done is, when you choose a cloud provider, or when you position it to your customers, when a cloud solution, and the privacy or a security concern comes up, you need to start talking about some of the certifications and the way the cloud is built. And these certifications are ISO 27001, SAS 70 Type 2, and most of the solutions will be HIPAA compliant. So there are a lot of compliance and there are a lot of certifications which is available by each of the leading cloud service providers. You want to take that list of those certifications and go and give it to your customer. So it's like, hey, why do you go and put your money in Emirates NBD Bank or Bank Muscat Bank? Why? It's pretty reputed. No, reputation doesn't mean anything to me. I'm going to put lots of money in my bank, so why should I go and sell it, go and put my money? The point is, you have seen that bank doing all the right things to protect your money, and that brings you confidence. The same thing, you need to give the confidence to the customer by listing out all those certifications which those cloud providers have, which ensures that this cloud provider is taking care of security and privacy very well for the customers. This is not an argument to win. This is about educating the customer about how do they gain more knowledge on what is privacy and security on cloud. My suggestion would be, or my take would be, cloud is much more secure and private than putting it on their own servers. If you go back to history, it is very clear that the biggest security breach in all the organization happens, 60% of that happens by the user itself within the company. It is not the external hacks, it is the internal hacks. So if you want to put it within your servers, you are at more risk than putting it on cloud. So you better put that thing on the cloud. So that is how you should position it. Okay? I hope this helps. Last question. Can customer retrieve their data on cloud when decided not to continue as a SAS model, and is there any provision for migrating the data? I would say this is the most important thing which you should give the confidence to the customer. Today, cloud is becoming more and more open, which means you talk about Office, you talk about CRM, you talk about ERP, you talk about infrastructure, Azure. All of them are very open standards. They meet certain common standards, which means getting the data in and getting the data out should not be a problem at all. Specific question around CRM data, answer is very, very much yes. You can get the data in, you can get the data out. Please convey this to your customers very, very openly. Cloud providers are just managing your data. Customer still owns the data. Customer is the owner of their data. Cloud providers are just the custodian of the data. If you put your money in the bank, bank doesn't own your money. You own the money, bank manages the money. It's exactly the same thing. Cloud providers do not own the customer's data. You read the terms of service, it is very clearly mentioned that customer owns the data. They are the final owner. They can take the data in, they can take the data out. Any further questions? All right. So if there are no more questions, we'll conclude the session, and this recording will be sent out to you over the email. Thanks a lot for joining, and feel free to reach out to us. We will have a follow-up session similar to this with a little bit more different topics, but we will have a consistent approach on covering sales training, general sales training. So please, if you have your colleagues and sales people who are going to join you may want to watch the schedule for new hire, and we'll be happy to rearrange this. Thanks a lot.